Thank you for tuning in to Locked On Bulls. I'm Haize. That's Pat the designer. On today's episode, we'll be talking about the Bulls' upcoming game against the New York Knicks. We'll also be breaking down just the standings in the East. Boston is now the number 1 seed, and the Sixers are the number 4 seed, who will be playing in the first round. We'll also be going into that and talking about AK and Mark Eversley and how they evaluate talent. We'll do all that on today's Locked On Bulls.
You are Locked On Bulls, your daily podcast on the Chicago Bulls, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you for making today's episode of Locked On Bulls your first listen, a member of the Locked On Podcast Network. And today's episode is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online has you covered with this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Bet Online, where the game starts. Pat, we got some stuff to talk about, man. It's a wild place in the East this year, man. But before we get into that, tonight the Bulls versus the Knicks. Knicks who come in winning 3 straight games. What are you looking forward to tonight's game?
Like you said, man, it's a wild place. We got to do them like Wild Wild West and smack them like Will Smith. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? We got to do it. I couldn't do it. I can't resist that joke. It's too easy. Don't smack me, Will. It's all good. But no, man. I mean, the Knicks are a team. Listen, you are at a point in this season, right, with this team where there's a lot of teams that we look at and we say we should beat them. Yeah. This should be a dub. We should be coming out of this with a finish here, especially seeing as how the Knicks are tied for 26th in the NBA in pace and just really struggling this season to find their thing. But here's the thing that you got to look at with the Knicks. You have to find a way to keep them off the boards, or they will absolutely make this game interesting. Even as bad as they are tied for 3rd in the NBA in rebounding. And guess what? Guess how you lost a lot of these games? Getting dominated on that side of the ball. I remember the days when Tristan Thompson was going to fix that. But they're 3rd in the NBA in rebounds and 4th in the NBA in offensive boards. And even with a dub last time out versus the Cleveland Cavaliers, they dominated you pretty much on the offensive boards. I think at one point it was like 14-6. So you really want to try and come out and find a way to create your presence inside. And I think to me, that's just going to Vooch like we saw in that last game and not really going away from him. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to don't you feel, even in the games we win, right? Like, I understand you're going to Zach. I understand you're going to DeMar. DeMar's your 4th quarter guy, but it just feels like we're not going to Vooch enough for him to be as effective as we think. And I mean, if we're being honest about it, I guess that's normal. He's the 3rd option on the team, right? But like, wouldn't you say that we're underutilizing him in moments where he's essentially cooking the competition?
Absolutely. Like it's like they want to establish Vooch, and I've said this before too. When Vooch gets going early, he's more engaged on both sides of the ball. But the issue is it's like Billy Donovan gets him engaged, and he's successful in that first half.
Yeah.
And then we see them go to him considerably less in the second half in the last few games, where you need to feed the hot hand. Don't get me wrong. DeMar and Zach have been great for us. DeMar over the course of the season. Zach has really come on the last 5 games to really be given some really, really good output from him. And it seems like he's working around that comfort of that knee a little bit more. But Vooch has always been what changes this team to being a dynamic offense especially with Lonzo Ball out. And it's just when he's not going, I understand it, but when Vooch gets going, listen, Vooch, he's shooting the 3 much better in the last handful of games as well. But feeding Vooch down low, working from the inside out, is always going to be a success for this team. Now, maybe I don't know if maybe they move away from that because they don't have a 3-point shooter like Lonzo running the point guard anymore. But it does raise questions on why they seldomly go to Vooch, especially Vooch doesn't get almost any shots in 4th quarters of these games. Yeah, and I don't understand.
I mean, it's weird, right? Because it's like I mean, let's be real. There is the DeMar effect, right? DeMar gets the ball. We know he's more of a one-on-one assassin. He can get you in that mid-range. He's going to take those shots. In those moments, I would like to see Vooch be in a better position, but I also feel like that goes to the scheme, right? A lot of those shots are coming off of Vooch coming up top, setting the screen, popping out to clear space for DeMar. The problem is the next big guy that's in there is Javonte Green. Now, recently we've seen P. Will get in there and do a good job rebounding. Remember, he couldn't rebound. I remember that too. But do a good job down there rebounding the basketball and getting tip outs. Like, I know they don't count in the stat sheet, but we can open our eyes and see that, like, he's getting second chance opportunities for us. It's all good though. But I look at how they put Vooch in a position to play as the biggest problem for why Vooch doesn't have the level of success that we think that he should have. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like in this game, right, you're going up against now, is Randall set to play? That's the question. We are getting him off of a back-to-back. Last I had checked, Julius Randle was out versus in that Miami game, which was hilarious. But I believe that he has been cleared to play.
He is not listed on the injury report at all.
Good. So Julius Randle will be there. He's a factor. Is the thing. Ringo says it every single time we live call the Knicks game. He's going left. He's going left. So, like, you know how to defend him. It makes it a little bit easier. You have to establish your presence down low in this game because we know what they can do everything else. We know they can shoot the ball. We know they can score. But again, even that, like, don't force the issue. There's a lot of length on this team. RJ Barrett does a great job getting in front of DeMar DeRozan and using that length to make his shots difficult. You know what I'm saying? So you have to find a way to pick your poison and not force the issue in this game. And I feel like that's something we've seen the Bulls do pretty consistently over this stretch of, I mean, let's be real. We won the game last time out, but over this stretch of games that we've lost, I need the Bulls to prove that they are not who we now think they are and that they can build on what we saw in the last game. Let me ask you this. I mean, you look at a Alex Caruso. Does it seem like he's just getting healthier? That intensity in that Cleveland game was 10 times what it was in the previous games he'd been in. Does it seem like he's just getting healthier? Or do you feel like there's something there that actually is a next level that he's tapped into that got the rest of the Bulls playing better defensively? Like, I feel like maybe he didn't know, like, hey, I'm the backbone of this defense.
No, I think it's what you said. I think he's just truly, I think sometimes as fans, when players become available, we think that means just because they're good to go, that they're good to go, if you know what I mean. And it really does take some time. Yes, these are professional athletes. Yes, even with his wrist injury, he was able to keep his conditioning. But it kind of takes some time to get back in the rhythm of anything when you're out of it for that long. And I think maybe we're just seeing Alex Caruso finally get back to that place that he was at before he went out with the injury. And keep in mind too, he missed some time with the injury before he went. Like, he was out with the injury. Well, I think it was COVID, or was it? I can't remember. It was,
he was
injury,
out with
COVID.
An injury and COVID, the foot and COVID. Yeah.
Okay, that's what it was. He came back. I think he was back for 2, maybe 3 games, and then went out for another long stretch. Yeah. So because of that, he may just really be working himself back in. Now, I'm gonna throw a question back to you before we finish out this segment, and that is, do we need to see, and a lot of people have been calling, I've been saying I think Patrick Williams is going to start in this week once he comes back, but with Julius Randle being back, and you kind of don't want to start, I wouldn't think Io and Caruso again with the lineup, the front lineup that the Knicks have. Do we see Patrick Williams, or should we see Patrick Williams get back into the starting lineup this game?
I feel like Billy's worried about chemistry. That's what it seems like to me. I mean, he played 14 minutes in that last stretch, and a stretch where in that last game, in a couple of stretches where you were looking around like, hey, we might need a little bit of defense on this side of the ball. Yeah. And you saw him play 14 minutes in that entire game, the least amount of minutes he's played since he's come back. And Billy just kind of talked about it like, yeah, I felt like we had something going there. We weren't able to get him in there. We weren't able to find him that time. That's not indicative of how he was playing, how he was feeling. It's more so indicative of what we're doing. So I feel like Billy's actually worried about, like, the chemistry of this team. And I mean, this is the thing. I think he realizes, guess what? Right now, what I need in my lineup to win these games is my best available pieces. Patrick Williams is an excellent defender, but we can't say right now Patrick Williams is the best available piece on the team. That lineup you saw last night out, if we see last game out, if we see that coming into this game, I think that's probably your starting lineup for the playoffs. Io DeSumo, Alex Caruso, DeMar, Zach, Vooch. I think that's probably your starting lineup for the playoffs because those are the 5 best available players on the court right now. And coming off of the bench, now you've got Javonte able to bring that energy. Now you've got P. Will able to bring that length and that defense. I hope Derrick Jones gets some more time. I'll say this. We didn't see Troy. I was glad. I was like, dog, if I don't see Derrick and I see Troy, we didn't see Troy. Yeah. So, like, you know what I'm saying? So Derrick Jones is somebody that you might see off of there. And then Kobe White, you got to get it together, my boy. I don't know you got to get
Kobe got to get that shooting in hand. But, you know, something that help Kobe get that shooting together, if he eats a couple of Built Bars, maybe it'll give him a little bit of that energy and that boost that he needs to be able to make some more shots. Built Bars are low-calorie, high-protein bars that can replace your candy bars with ease. They're better for you, and they taste just as good as a typical candy bar. They only have 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar, 4 net carbs, and 17 grams of protein. If you're on the keto diet, if you're trying to keep your carbs down, Built Bars are the perfect bar for that. And again, me and Pat been telling you about the Puffs. The Puffs are amazing. If you like marshmallows, cover them. They're covered in 100% real chocolate, and they're still good for you. So Built Bar has an offer for you. If you go to BuiltBar.com, you use the promo code LOCK15, you get 15% off your order. That's promo code LOCK15 to get 15% off your order at BuiltBar.com. Okay, Pat. Now, Knicks aside, the standings in the East are the funniest thing to watch in the world. I've been saying for the longest on my show that with 10 games left, I was going to start doing the standings watch because literally there are such dramatic swings. Boston is now the number 1 team in the East with Miami second, Milwaukee Bucks third, and now the Philadelphia 76ers are fourth. And if the playoffs started today, that's who the Bulls would face. Now, we're not going to obsess too much right now over who the Bulls' potential opponent can be at that 4 or 5. We want to focus on our team, our Bulls. So I'm going to ask you, with 8 games left for the Chicago Bulls, can they win enough to make a drastic swing to get out of that 5 spot and to get home court advantage in the playoffs? Because we know this team is a much better team on their own home court. What do you think, Pat?
I think that it's I guess getting home court advantage. You really just hoping they can win enough to get that home court advantage, right? Like, but there's no matchup that I look at that I want to see the Bulls play first round. Maybe Toronto, just because they might be injured. But even a Toronto team, listen, they still got that championship pedigree. There's still a lot of good there. I don't think the Bulls would lose to them in 7, but I think that, listen, that would be a hard fought first round for a young team that's trying to figure its way through the playoffs. You know what I'm saying? There's nobody in this Eastern Conference right now that I look at and I'm like, yeah, that's going to be an easy matchup. So if anything, you want to get the home court advantage. But as it stands right now, I think based on the loss tonight, right now we got Philly. Based on Philly's loss tonight, right now you got a first round matchup of the Philadelphia 76ers and the Chicago Bulls. Milwaukee Bucks are third. They'll play the Raptors. And then Boston right now would be playing either Brooklyn or oh, by the way, Brooklyn's ninth now. Oh, Charlotte would be playing. They would be playing either Charlotte or the Cavaliers. That's crazy out here, dog. But yeah, I mean that's one of those to me where you're looking at, like, yeah, say we do move up. Who in there's a easy run?
Well, if the Bulls can get up, I mean, like you said, they would literally have to get up to the 4 spot the 3 spot, because I look at that because they would then at that point they would face Toronto. And I like our matchup against. I like that a lot better than either the Sixers or the Milwaukee Bucks, who can be at the 4 or 5 matchup, to be honest with you. Now, they are currently 2.5 games back from that 3rd spot. With a lighter part in their schedule, but as the Bulls have been playing, and us just being honest with how this team has been playing, they can lose against anyone. We used to be able to say they can win against anyone. They can lose against anyone with how they've been playing. But I don't know, man. Like, more so than what particular opponent, I don't care. Even in that 4 or 5, that gives the Bulls the best possible scenario if they can at least get home court advantage in the series. Yeah. That's the thing that I'm more the opponent thing that'll work itself out. We gotta face who's in front of us. I know a lot of Bulls fans are really obsessing over who we're gonna face and worry about it. Listen, if we face Milwaukee in the first round, and we don't have enough to get past that and get in the second round, then we just didn't have enough. AK and Eversley know what they need to do to get us past that. But for us to have, go ahead.
I was gonna say here's one thing to look at, just to your point of moving up to 3. Milwaukee's in 3 right now. Milwaukee probably ain't feeling like they now, of course, champion, you coming in a lot more confidence than the team. But hey, this is still 2 teams that got championship caliber players on them. In the 3 matchups, Milwaukee has not won once. Now, as Bulls fans, we know regular season don't mean a dang thing. Exactly. But in the 3 matchups, at least going into this, Milwaukee has not won one matchup with the Toronto Raptors, and the Toronto Raptors actually match up versus the Milwaukee Bucks very, very well going into a series, and they match it. So, like, if we're worried about the Bucks, like, Toronto absolutely could be in a position for an upset here. Like, if we're being honest with it, if we're worried about, like, for us, I feel like we're in the same position here with Philly, but the opposite way. We got to get our first win versus Philly. You know what I'm saying? We're in the Bucks position, minus the fact that the Bucks went to the NBA championship and won that mug last year. So I'm telling you, the playoffs are deeper than a lot of people are paying attention to when it comes. Because, I mean, anybody can catch a heater. Anybody can catch a heater. Right now, you're looking at a situation where Brooklyn, if Charlotte wins out, is in the play-in game to try and win the 8th seed.
Don't forget. And we've said this before. I think this is like our first or second episode. I still stand by. If Brooklyn is eliminated in the play-in, this play-in shit is done. It's done. It's done. This is the last season of the
play-in. I understand it's halftime of this game, but we're going to call it dub Brooklyn. But the NBA has to be loving this, though. I mean, since the play-in has started, they've legitimately had a superstar in the play-in every year. I'm one of them people. I'm like, you're not going to get this all the time. But 2 years in a row, you've had LeBron, you've had Steph, you've had Kevin Durant, Kyrie, Trae Young's going to be in it. You might have LaMelo Ball, who's a young star in it right now.
LeBron again this year.
You've got stars in this mug, and these are going to be competitive games. No, that's going to be great. Now, Atlanta, Brooklyn might not be. That might.
That's well, like I said, but wait, because if Trae Young can get hot, it's one game, right? They just have to win one. Especially now that Brooklyn is the 9 seed, it's just one game.
It's one game.
It's just one game. If Trae Young gets hot enough in one game, bro, it can literally get Brooklyn up out of there. That would be crazy. And I said this before too. Like, what if Brooklyn gets eliminated in the play-in and the Lakers make it to the playoffs out of the play-in?
And then they'll never get rid of it. You know, LeBron made it.
Yeah,
LeBron made it. So you got to make it a chance
balance it out.
LeBron to make it. No, I mean, and I'm looking at the Bulls kind of that same way, right? Like, that's how quickly us breaking that down. That's how quickly it changes in the East. Like. Yeah. We could be talking about we're feeling good off a win. Kumbaya, we're doing good things. We're moving in the right direction. We could feel good off a win right now and absolutely be sitting in 7 or 8 by this time next week. If we don't have a good week,
be sitting at 7 or 8 by the end of this week.
You know what I'm saying? If we don't have a good week this week, you know what I'm saying? So like, it's that quick. Philly was 2, Milwaukee or Miami was 1 now. And now, listen, this is a topic for a whole nother day, but I think there's some strategic tanking going on now that Kyrie can play again.
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm not saying, but I'm just saying, interesting what we're seeing here. And everybody's just like, "Yep, Boston, you got that. Go ahead."
Yep. This may be one of the greatest playoff series ever, as far as like just from top to bottom. As a basketball fan, you get a play-in tournament on that's full of stars, as you've already pointed out. To pair that with an Eastern Conference that's already been close throughout this season, this is going to be exciting times for basketball fans, and hopefully it's exciting times for us as Bulls fans too, and not something that goes left. 4 games. It's actually 4 games this week, counting the Saturday game. So the Bulls got to be locked in this game. We got a back-to-back coming up Monday and Tuesday. We got the Knicks, and then we got Washington on Tuesday, and then Thursday Clippers, and then Saturday against Miami. But man, and then the key thing is, right, and this is we're talking about, can the Bulls make an upswing? The thing that's going to bring all that home is really next Saturday and then Tuesday, when the Bulls face Miami and Milwaukee in a back-to-back. I'm sorry, Milwaukee and Boston in the back-to-back Tuesday and Wednesday, with those teams being where they are, if the Bulls get dubs in even one of those two games, and God forbid, two of those games, it can completely change the outlook of the Eastern Conference playoffs in just those two games.
I'm going to say this. I think the real question before we take this break, I think the real question is, do we want to move up? I think the real question is, do you really want to move up? Because you are rolling the dice. You are shooting craps with those top spots in the Eastern Conference right now. If you top two right now, Miami is sweating right now. I feel like they're legitimately trying to tank to get out of that spot. Yeah. Like, hey, lose some games. We're not playing Brooklyn in the first round. I refuse. I feel like they're legitimately trying to tank to get out of that first spot, and they're sitting at 2, and they might stay there and still get Brooklyn anyway. Wild dog.
Crazy, bro. That's crazy, man.
Hey, man, before we get into this final segment where we're going to be breaking down. Hold on. I got to pull up my notes here. Got to be smarter than you. I wasn't prepared for it. My bad. Don't worry about it. We're going to be breaking down Acme and evaluating talent. Before we get to this final segment, breaking down Acme and them evaluating talent, I want to tell you about NBA Top Shot. NBA Top Shot is the officially licensed NFT of the NBA. Connect with a community of hundreds of thousands of NBA fans as a natural progression of fantasy sports, a way to upgrade your experience as an NBA fan. Let me tell you what the future of being an NBA fan looks like. It's part trading cards, it's part stock market, it's part fantasy sports, and it comes with great perks like their airline loyalty program where they have flown people out to Game 5 of the NBA Finals just for having Suns moments as an NFT. They've flown people out to the NBA draft just for having rookie moments as an NFT. They got to have dinners with first-round picks that were drafted that night, and they got to play basketball with Obi Toppin and Tyrese Halliburton. Watch your head, young fella. Listen, investors in this company include Michael Jordan, Kevin Durant, and not to mention the man with the open hand, Will Smith. There are a lot of NBA players in this community like Tyrese Halliburton, Cole Anthony, and Harrison Barnes as well. And I hear people ask me all the time, Pat, listen, why would I want to buy a highlight when I can just watch it on YouTube for free? Listen, it's not just about watching a highlight. It's about having ownership stake in what's aching the stock market for the NBA's greatest highlights. If you sign up at Top Shot today, the best way to get started for yourself is to get yourself a starter pack. You can pull an NFT of a superstar like LeBron or KD, or star rookies like Cade Cunningham or even Evan Mobley for just $9. And if you don't pull your favorite player from the starter pack, you can snag moments from the marketplace that appeal to you. The Top Shot moments can get you access to events and can even be used in fantasy mini games on a regular basis. Remember, NBA Top Shot is the future of being an NBA fan. Own officially licensed rare NFTs of the greatest moments of NBA history. Sign up today at lockedon.nbatopshot.com. Again, that's lockedon.nbatopshot.com. We also got to tell you about Rock Auto. This episode is brought to you by rockauto.com. Listen, Rock Auto is a spot where you can absolutely save time and money when using Rock Auto. Why choose to spend 30, 50, even 100% more for the same parts from a chain store or car dealership? Like you get a little Honda Odyssey fuel pump. It's about $353 from Rock Auto. You can get it for $216. Rock Auto is a family-owned business serving do-it-yourselfers for over 20 years. They have everything you could need: brake parts, tail lamp, motor oil, even new carpet. Man, sometimes you got to relay the carpet. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Go explore their easy-to-use website today. Find a solution for your auto part needs. Go to rockauto.com right now and see all parts available for your own car or truck. Right, Locked On in there. How did you hear about us, Box? So they know that we sent you. Amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car will ever need at, give it a second to breathe, rockauto.com.
So next up, we got to talk about AK and Eversley. And the reason why this came up, so it was reported that AK and Eversley went to a Windy City Bulls game, which, by the way, if you guys just like basketball and you have a subscription to ESPN Plus subscription, or if you're in the city of Chicago, go and check out the Windy City Bulls. I don't catch the games live. I usually go back in when I'm looking for something to watch. And the Windy City Bulls play some damn good basketball, by the way.
Yeah.
So check that out. But
Young
so
Marko Simonovic balling out here, by the
But
way.
that's what we're getting ready to get into, because with them going to the Windy City Bulls, of course, a lot of people and Bulls fans speculation. Oh, well, maybe they're looking to see if they can call somebody up before the playoffs start. They can add something to this team. And so the thing that I wanted to get into with this, right? We've seen, I've watched the Windy City Bulls. I'm sure you have too. Devin Dotson balling down there in the Windy City Bulls. Marcus Simonovic balling down there. Tyler Cook, who we briefly saw him here, then he got hurt. I think he kind of messed up his rotation. He played some good quality minutes for us, and even against the Milwaukee Bucks in the game that Alex Caruso got hurt in. But then on top of that, we got Patrick Williams, who was their first draft pick. Marcus Simonovic was drafted in that same draft as Patrick Williams. So this is the question that I want to present to you. As we're looking for a team that is going to continually improve, and some people have now questioned, because, people say Patrick Williams isn't aggressive. He's not going to be a star. People don't doubt his potential. People ask, hey, if Marco's all this that he was cracked up to be, or that they tried to sell it that he could be, why has he been down at the Windy City Bulls all season? Now, as basketball people, I know me and you understand why he's down there and the fact that he needs to develop. But with that being said, let's talk a little bit about AK and Eversley evaluation of talent and what that could mean for the future of this team. What do you think about how they evaluate talent and their first draft picks in Patrick Williams and Marko Simonovic? Do you think they get to the point where Bulls fans realize what we've seen in them by watching them? Go ahead, Pat.
I think basketball fans just aren't used to this. This is new. The G League is still new. I mean, what did it used to be? It was the
D League.
D League,
yeah,
or
the D League. It was the
D League, or the developmental league, something like that.
Yeah.
But it was one of those things where it was a throwaway league. It was something that they were like, we'll use this to develop players that we'll never bring in. But it was a long play game.
Antonio Blakeney.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? That's tough. But I look at the G League like I would look at hockey. Hockey has the AHL. It is very normal to see players come up in a moment's notice and be a part of your team and give you an impact and then go back down because they're not ready. Marco really didn't get his chance up here, I feel like. But again, then you would see him in limited time, and you know why he didn't get his chance. We saw Marco do two things. Ball, 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 get dunked on. So he clearly had some gaps in his game that needed to develop. I'm not writing this young kid off yet at all. And I think this is how you want to use it. Listen, this is normal in other sports. Baseball has a development league. Basketball or hockey has a development league. The NFL only doesn't have a development league because when they had a development league, there were too many people getting their knees blown out for you to have a development league. So you can't bring up a running back that's 24, 25 and be like, hey, let's give him his shot now. He ain't got no knees no more. So like, this is normal for me, and I love that for once, the Bulls are one of maybe 4 teams that I see really utilizing it. Oh, by the way, the other team that's one of the 4 is the team that AK just came from in the Denver Nuggets. So, like, I love the fact that they're literally just like, this is a way to stash talent. And we can evaluate this talent at our pace, and we can get him NBA level coaching, and we can get him NBA level. And we think everybody's supposed to come over and be Luka. Y'all realize that's an anomaly, right? Like, that's not normal. Luka came into the NBA averaging LeBron James while he was playing right now number. That's not normal.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. What do you think?
I do too. I think with Marco, people are so impatient when it comes to players and realizing like, well, why bring him over? They brought him over so that they can guide his development. They can't do that if he was overseas, right? They can go and check in. They can send somebody to fly and look at him, but him being here, they can have him work on aspects of his game that they want him to specifically work on for how they see him fitting and the role that they see him playing on a team. So yeah, that, and then with the Patrick Williams aggression thing, I'm so tired of people. Like, anytime somebody talks about Patrick Williams and they go to, oh, he only scored 4 points. All right, you're missing the picture, right? Because he's never supposed to be a scorer. But with Marco, we saw him play, and we saw him get bodied, and we need him to gain weight and put on weight and things like that. But the point of him being here in this first year was for them to really take a look at him here in Chicago, be able to guide that development here in Chicago, and be able to tell him what they need him to work on, because the way that he would play over in Europe is completely different than the role he's going to play for the Chicago Bulls team, hopefully by next season. As we're looking towards next season, I do hope that Marco is in a position to give at least some 10, 12 minutes a game for this team, because when you look at his skill set, Marko Simonovic has an elite skill set. Now, he may not be ready to put out elite output, and he may never get there. We don't know. We'll see it. But the skill set that Marko Simonovic has is the modern day big, and it's a 3-level scorer that not that many. I think we forget, right? We see the Vucevic's, we see the Embiids, we see the Cats, we see the Jokic, but we forget just how rare it is to have a big man with that type of skill set. And Marco has that potential. It's just up on him to capitalize on it.
Yeah, I agree. I felt, and I dropped the video over on the Windy City Breeze when we drafted him, looking at his game and saying, listen, this guy has the skill set of Jokic, but you have to be able to meet that level of talent. You have to be like he's somebody that, like, Marco's bringing the ball up the court between the leg, behind the back pass to somebody out in the corner to cash a three. Like, what the heck is that? You're a big man. You 7'1". You shouldn't be. And like, kid was out at one of the games. He was like, Marco's big, dog.
Yeah.
It's like he is not a small person. He is big. So like, I think bringing him over here, like you said, that guided development, we can guide his weight training. We can guide his development into the NBA, and we can bring talent into the room that, yeah, even if he doesn't pan out, right? First off, he's a second-round pick. We're excited about Io. That's what you're supposed to be with second-round picks that turn into that.
Yeah.
Even if he doesn't pan out and he's just a player that comes up and can give you 10 to 12 minutes a game, that's a nice rotation piece. That's somebody off of the bench that's really nice. You know what Philly's missing right now? Somebody off of the bench that can come in behind Joel Embiid that can give him a solid 10 to 12 minutes a game. They traded him to Brooklyn. He's giving him a solid 17, 18 minutes a game. So like, those bench pieces, building out that bench depth, or if he does become a starter, those are important moments. And that's what, if you look at a hockey team, a lot of them dudes that they draft and go to the AHL and stuff like that, that's what they end up becoming. Like, yeah, you might get a star here and there, but the stars are usually up pretty quickly. Those guys that spend 3-4 years down in the AHL and they come up to the NHL and they immediately, all of a sudden you see like, oh, this dude's been down here development, making an impact. They're on the third, fourth line on the team. It's depth. You have to build these mugs out. And I think that that's what they're using the G League for. And I like that we're, for the first time in I don't know how long, we're ahead of the trend on something.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. Marko Simonovic, 6'11", 220 pounds, and he's slight of frame. Like, if you've seen him out there, even if he gains 8 pounds of muscle, that man is going to be a beast. As far as the physicality aspect of it, we need to see if he can bring it all together. But he's bought, and that 3-point shot over the course of the G League season this year, it's gotten better and better, to where I would say that in the G League right now, we'll see how it brings over to the NBA. He has an elite 3-point shot in the G League. Anything left before we go, brother?
Nah, man. Let's go. Will Smith the Knicks, man.
There you go. We got. That's what we're calling him from now. Will Smithing. But make sure you're following us collectively at Locked On Bulls. You can follow Pat the Designer at Pat the Designer, because guess what? What does he always say? He did go to school. He knows English. He knows how to spell it. It's Pat the Designer. Yeah. You can follow me at CEO Haize, the CEO Haize. This has been another episode of Locked On Bulls, man. We'll see you guys tomorrow, hopefully after the dub. JV out.
Y'all stay safe out there, man. Peace.